Before a blessing ever appears in your hands, it must first know your name. In the spiritual realm, nothing wanders. Every good thing is assigned. But most people never receive their blessing because they never claim it in the only place it truly matters, the unseen. The world teaches you to wait until you can see it, touch it, or hold it before you call it yours. But the law says the opposite. You must name it and claim it before it can find you. I will show you how to secure your blessing so fully in spirit that when it appears in the physical, it feels like nothing more than the delivery of what you already own. Miss this law, and your blessing will drift to another. Obey it, and you will live in a world where every good thing has your spiritual signature upon it. My dear one, do you know why so many prayers seem unanswered? It is not because God has withheld them, nor because the supply was absent. It is because the blessing was never given an identity in spirit. You must understand, in the unseen world, everything is already finished, already complete, already in perfect form. There is no one day in spirit. There is only now. But until you name what you desire, and place your spiritual ownership upon it, it remains unclaimed merchandise in heaven's storehouse, and in that storehouse, unclaimed blessings are eventually reassigned. I once counseled a woman who desperately wanted a home. She prayed, she begged, she wept, but her words were vague. She said, "I want somewhere to live. Any place will do." And Spirit took her at her word. She received a damp, dark basement apartment she could barely stand to live in. Why? Because she never named her blessing in the Spirit. I told her, "Be specific. See the home. Speak of it as yours." She began to describe it aloud. A bright, sunny house, near the water with roses in the garden. She wrote it down and thanked God for my beautiful house, as if she already dwelt in it. Within weeks, a friend called. She had to move suddenly and offered her a cottage by the sea, with roses blooming at the gate. She had named it, therefore she claimed it, therefore it had to find her. This is the first great secret of the law of name and claim. The blessing must hear its name to know where to go. If you simply wish vaguely, you send no instruction to the unseen. But when you name it, you attach a spiritual address. Heaven's delivery system never misses when the address is clear. Think of it this way. If you ordered a package online but gave no street name, no house number, no city, no postal code, how would it ever arrive? In the same way, many souls cry for prosperity, but never say what that prosperity looks like. Do you mean a lump sum, a steady income, debt cancellation, a specific amount? You must say it in spirit the way you would say it to a trusted messenger. I will tell you plainly. The moment you name your blessing, you give it a coat of arms in the unseen. It now carries your spiritual insignia, and the moment it is named, you have shifted it from the realm of anyone to the realm of yours. This is why you must be bold in naming your good. Meekness in the spirit does not mean timidity, it means humility before God, but courage before the unseen. Now hear me well. Some of you have already lost blessings because you failed to name them. Opportunities passed you by. Promotions went to others. Relationships dissolved before they began. You may think it was bad luck or timing, but I tell you, it was a spiritual misaddress. The law is exact, and it will not break its own order to suit our half-spoken desires. This is why, before you can claim, you must name. And here is my counsel to you. Do not name in doubt, name in certainty. Do not say, "I hope to have it." Say, It is mine. Do not ask, could I receive this? Say it is appointed to me. When you speak like this, you are not lying. You are telling the truth of the unseen. The physical will always lag behind the spiritual, but it must catch up, because the two realms are mirrors. I remember telling a man who was seeking work, do not pray for a job, pray for the right job, with the right pay, at the right time, and the right conditions. Name it and hold it in the spirit. He followed my advice, and soon an offer came from a place he had never applied to, with better pay and hours than he had imagined. He looked at me and said, "It's exactly what I named." I smiled and replied, "Of course it is. The law has no other choice once you name and claim. So I say to you, dear one, as you listen to these words, search your heart. What blessing have you left unnamed? What desire have you left wandering in the unseen without a label? Stop leaving your future to chance. Stop asking for something good, and start asking for the exact thing that belongs to you. The moment you name it, you tell the unseen, this is mine. Deliver it to me without delay. And when you do this in faith, without wavering, you will be astonished at how quickly heaven obeys your spiritual command. The power of naming in the Spirit is the power of creation itself. God created the heavens and the earth by speaking them into being, and the same spiritual law operates in you. Words are not decorations to your thoughts. They are the carriers of your authority. When you name a blessing in faith, you are stamping it with the seal of divine ownership, and that seal cannot be forged, intercepted, or erased. In the unseen realm, there is no confusion. Everything responds to its appointed identity. Just as a shepherd calls each sheep by name, and it comes running, so too does your blessing respond to the name you give it. But the tragedy I see daily is that people have surrendered the sacred act of naming to the forces of fear and chance. They say, I'll take whatever comes, and whatever comes is rarely what they desire. They open the gate to anyone's blessing, and then wonder why the one meant for them never arrives. I tell you plainly, you have the right, the divine privilege to call your blessing into form by naming it clearly and reverently. When you whisper its description in your quiet time, when you write it down in the secret place, when you thank God for it before a scrap of evidence appears, you are performing the holy act of spiritual naming. You are doing exactly what the Creator did at the dawn of time, speaking light into darkness. Let me give you this image. Imagine you are in a vast library filled with every book ever written and every book yet to be written. Somewhere in that library is the exact volume of your blessing. It contains every detail, the way it will look, feel, arrive, and fit perfectly into your life. But if you simply say, "Bring me a book," the librarian of the universe will bring you anything. A book of sorrow, a book of delay, a book of struggle. Only when you say, "Bring me the volume titled My Debt-Free Life with Overflowing Abundance printed in gold on the cover," will the librarian smile and know exactly where to go. This is why I warn you, careless naming is dangerous. To say "I am broke" is to name yourself into lack. To say "I never get a break" is to name yourself into continual frustration. You are not only naming your blessings, you are also naming your conditions, your seasons, your reality. The unseen does not judge whether your naming is wise or foolish. It simply obeys. This is the very reason I insist on speaking your good as already here. If you say, One day, I'll have a beautiful home. You push it into the future indefinitely. But if you say, I live in my beautiful home now, every room is filled with peace and joy, you summon it into the present in spirit. And when it is present in spirit, the physical must align. A woman once came to me saying she wanted a husband. I asked her, have you named him? She looked startled and said, well, no. I just want to be married. I explained, if you don't name his qualities, the law will send anyone to fill the role, and you may regret it. She went home and wrote a list: kind, generous, successful in his work, loving God with a sense of humor, fond of children. Within months she met a man who matched every word. He told her later, I felt like you were calling me before I even knew you. That is the power of naming in the spirit. Now I must give you a word of warning and encouragement in the same breath. Once you name your blessing, you must refuse to rename it in fear. Too many people start in faith and finish in doubt. They call it prosperity one day and impossible the next. This is like writing the correct address on a letter and then crossing it out every other day, replacing it with a different one. No wonder the delivery is delayed. The law is consistent, but it cannot deliver to a moving target. So I say to you, once you have named it, hold that name steady. Guard it as you would guard a child's life. Write it in your journal, speak it in your prayers, and keep it in the quiet chamber of your heart. When doubt knocks, do not open the door. When fear whispers, do not answer. Keep the name on your lips until the day the blessing walks into your life and says, here I am, you called me, and here is your refreshment for the soul. Remember this, you are not begging for your blessing, you are summoning what is already yours. You are not asking a stranger for a favor. You are instructing a trusted servant to bring you what has already been purchased on your behalf in the Spirit. This is not arrogance, it is alignment. This is not pride, it is the lawful claiming of your divine inheritance. When you walk in the power of naming in the Spirit, life becomes deliberate instead of accidental. You no longer wait for something good to happen. You name the good you desire and watch the law of God bring it to your door. And once you taste this power, you will never again live like a beggar in the house of abundance. To claim before evidence appears is to live by the highest spiritual law, the law of faith in action. It is the difference between the one who waits for the ship to dock before they unpack their joy, and the one who sets the table for the feast the moment they hear the horn in the distance. I tell you, the unseen realm delivers first class only to those who act as if the package has already been delivered. This is where so many falter. They name their blessing, but they do not truly claim it until they see a sign. And because they wait for a sign, they delay the sign. The law responds to certainty, not hesitation. The moment you claim it in the Spirit, the moment you walk in it with your words, actions, and inner posture, the invisible begins to weave the visible. Think of a gardener who has sown seeds. You would not find him out in the soil, every morning digging them up to check if they have sprouted. He waters them, tends the ground, and expects the green shoots to appear. That is claiming before evidence, a trust so steady that it needs no proof. I once told a woman who desired a better home, start living as if you are already there. She asked, but Florence, how can I, when I am surrounded by peeling paint and broken furniture? I answered, dress the home you have now with the spirit of the one you desire. Speak to it as though it were already transformed. She began polishing her old table as if it were a fine piece from a showroom. She placed flowers in a chipped vase and called it beautiful. Within months, an opportunity came to rent a house beyond her expectations, and she moved in without a cent of debt. Why? Because she claimed it before it appeared. But claiming is more than an action. It is an inner stance. It is the quiet refusal to be swayed by appearances. When others speak lack, you speak fullness. When the outer world says not yet, your inner world says it is done. This is why Jesus spoke of believing you have received before you see. It is not poetic. It is the precise instruction for operating divine law. And here is where the adversary of doubt tries to creep in. It will point to the empty hand and say, "You are lying," but faith is not a lie. It is alignment with the truth that exists before your eyes can see it. When you claim, you are not pretending. You are stepping into reality ahead of the crowd. Let me give you an image to hold. Imagine you have ordered a fine piece of furniture from the best craftsman in the land. You have paid in full. The craftsman tells you it will take 6 weeks to arrive. Do you spend those 6 weeks telling your friends, "I don't know if it will come. Maybe he forgot me. Maybe it was a mistake"? No. You prepare the place where it will stand. You tell guests, "In this corner will be my beautiful new cabinet." You dust the space. You keep it ready. This is claiming without evidence. In my own life I have walked this path many times. When I was called to speak in halls where the seats had not yet been booked, I prepared my message as though the room were already full, and when the day came, the seats were filled to overflowing. The law does not fail the one who has already taken possession in spirit. But you must also understand this. To claim before evidence appears requires the discipline to hold your claims steady in the face of delay. Delay is not denial. It is preparation. If you abandon your claim because the outer world has not yet bowed to the inner, you forfeit the delivery. The package will arrive, but it will find the door shut and move on to another. So here is your soul's refreshment for this section. Treat your desire as a guest already on the way. Prepare for it. Make room for it. Speak of it as though it has already crossed the threshold. The way you prepare the space in your life tells the unseen whether you are serious about receiving. A room unprepared says, "I am not ready." But a space cleared, polished and expectant says, "I have been waiting for you." And know this, your claim is not a request. It is a declaration. It is your legal notice to the universe that the blessing is yours by divine right. You are not stealing. You are not grasping. You are not taking what belongs to another. You are aligning with what was already assigned to your name before the foundation of the world. When you begin to live in the light of this truth, you will find the line between the unseen and the seen growing thinner each day. What you claim in the morning will arrive by evening. What you set your faith upon in secret will appear in the open. The law is not slow. It is precise. It moves at the speed of your certainty. Once you have named your blessing and claimed it in the unseen, the next work is to guard it until delivery. Many souls lose their good, not because they failed to believe, but because they failed to protect the seed of that belief. A claim left unguarded is like a jewel left on the open street. Sooner or later, someone or something will try to take it from you. The moment you set your intention, there will come voices, sometimes from others, often from within, whispering doubt, ridicule, or fear. What if it doesn't happen? Who do you think you are to have that? It's taking too long. Maybe it wasn't meant for you, my dear one. These are thieves in the night. They cannot take the blessing itself, for that is secured in the Spirit, but they can rob you of your faith, and without faith, your delivery loses its address. I recall a young man who had named and claimed a position in a company far above his current station. He began to prepare for it, study for it, speak of it as though it were already his. Then one day, a friend scoffed, "You? They'll never give you that job." He laughed nervously and said, "Yes, you're probably right." Within a week, he received news that the position had been filled by another man less qualified, but more confident. The law had heard him revoke his claim. Guarding your claim means refusing to entertain any word, thought, or image that contradicts it. When such a thought appears, and it will, you must cast it down immediately and replace it with the truth of your divine right. This is why I tell my students, never discuss your desires with anyone who will speak against them. The walls of your mind are not to be decorated with the graffiti of other people's disbelief. There is a discipline to guarding the claim. It means you speak of your blessing only in the affirmative, only in the present, and only to those who will agree with you in faith. If you cannot find such a person, then agree with God alone. Your agreement with the divine is enough to bring the delivery to pass. Let me give you an image. A pregnant woman does not allow just anyone to speak over her unborn child. She protects the life within her. She eats for it, rests for it, prays for it. She does not open the door to fear or gossip. She guards it until the appointed time, when it comes forth in perfect form. Your blessing is no different. It is conceived in spirit the moment you name and claim it, and it must be carried in faith until it is born into the visible. Guarding also means watching over your own tongue. The most dangerous enemy to your claim is not always outside you. It is often your own speech. You may pray in the morning, "My wealth flows to me freely," and then say in the afternoon, "I can't afford that." Such contradictions are like cutting the string of a kite and wondering why it fell. Once you have named and claimed, every word thereafter must be in harmony with that claim. And here is your refresher for this truth. The tongue can either secure the delivery or cancel the order. Speak as though the blessing were already in your hand. Do not explain delays. Do not excuse appearances. Do not justify lack. Simply hold your claim steady with words that match the reality you have chosen in spirit. There will be moments when the weight tests you. The temptation will come to loosen your grip, to settle for less, to say, "Maybe this smaller thing is what God meant for me." But I tell you, if you named it in faith, do not trade it for a substitute. The counterfeit always appears before the real, hoping you will take the bait. This is the last trial before manifestation. Hold out. I have seen students who waited years for a specific blessing, only to have it arrive exactly as they named it, in perfect condition, because they refused to water down their vision. The law honors the one who guards their claim as sacred, so keep the blessing safe in your spirit. When others ask how it's going, say, "It is unfolding perfectly." When your mind whispers worry, say, "This is already mine." When appearances say otherwise, say, "I do not walk by sight, but by divine order." This is how you guard your claim, until the delivery knocks at your door, and it will knock, for the law never forgets an address written in faith. The final movement in the law of name and claim is not merely to receive, but to receive without resistance. Many souls fail at this last, simplest step because they do not understand that reception is not passive. It is a full, open-handed agreement with the divine's timing and delivery. You see, some people name their blessing, claim it in faith, guard it with diligence, and then when it arrives, they shrink back. They say, "This feels too big for me. What if I cannot keep it? What if I lose it?" And in those moments they push away the very thing they prayed for. The law does not force blessings upon a closed door. Your reception must be as active as your claiming. Receiving without resistance means you accept the blessing in the same spirit with which you claimed it, as your rightful inheritance. You do not apologize for it. You do not feel guilty for it. You do not downplay it to make others comfortable. To do so is to insult the giver. When the divine has prepared a table for you, you sit and eat with gratitude, not hesitation. I remember a woman who had long desired a certain sum of money to start her own business. She spoke it daily, wrote it in her journal, guarded her words, and carried herself as a business owner. One day, an unexpected check arrived for the exact amount she had claimed. But instead of celebrating, she hesitated. What if I invested and fail? Maybe I should save it for emergencies instead. Within weeks, the money was absorbed by small, unplanned expenses. Her fear had turned the blessing into sand running through her fingers. The universe responds to a receiver who stands ready, not just in intention, but in attitude. Readiness is shown by the way you treat your blessing when it arrives. If you believe it is temporary, you will hold it loosely, and it will slip away. If you believe it is permanent, you will integrate it fully into your life. Some of you are naming and claiming, but your subconscious is rehearsing the loss of the very thing you desire. That rehearsal is resistance. It is like inviting a guest to your home and then locking the door. You must train both your conscious and subconscious mind to receive with ease. This is where gratitude becomes the cement that holds the blessing in place. Gratitude before you see it draws it in. Gratitude when it arrives anchors it. Florence would tell her students to bless the blessing, to speak well over it, to declare that it is good, right, and lasting. She knew that what you bless increases, and what you fear dissolves. Another subtle form of resistance is self-disqualification. The thought that I do not deserve this. Let me tell you, no one receives by deserving. We receive by aligning. The blessings of life are not wages for labor, but gifts for belief. When you start to measure your worthiness by your past mistakes or present imperfections, you put yourself outside the flow of grace. Your role is not to be perfect, but to be in agreement with the law. And here is your soul's refresher for this moment. You cannot both hold the blessing and hold the fear of losing it. One must go. If you cling to fear, the blessing will slip away. If you cling to faith, fear will dissolve. Choose faith every time. Receiving without resistance also means being willing to accept the form in which the blessing arrives. Many block their good because it does not look exactly like the picture in their mind. You may name and claim a sum of money, and it arrives as a new client, an opportunity, or a gift instead of a check. The immature soul says, "This isn't it." The wise soul says, "This is the channel by which my good has flowed." The law always delivers in the most direct, perfect way, and it may surprise you. I once knew a man who claimed a new home. In his mind it was a white house on a certain street, but what came to him was a beautiful stone cottage in a better neighborhood, for less than he expected. Had he rejected it because it was not the white house, he would have missed the greater gift. The law answered his desire, but improved upon it. When you receive, you must trust that the divine knows your heart better than you do. To receive without resistance is to stand in the full ownership of your blessing, not with clenched fists, but with open palms. It is to walk as though it were always yours, because in truth it was. The law does not give, it reveals. The blessing existed for you before you named it. Your naming only brought it into your awareness. Your claiming brought it into your possession, and your receiving seals it into your experience. So when your good appears, whether in a whisper or in a flood, welcome it as the friend you have long expected. Do not test it, do not second-guess it, and do not put it on probation. Bless it, embrace it, and fold it into the fabric of your life. This is how blessings remain, by being received as permanent, rightful parts of your existence. And as you walk in this truth, you will find that each blessing you name, claim, guard, and receive comes faster than the last. For you will have trained your mind and spirit to operate the law without friction. The channel will widen, the flow will quicken, and you will live in a state where your only work is to decide what good you will call next. You have now heard the law in its fullness. The blessing you desire is not wandering somewhere in the dark, waiting for chance to guide it to you. It is here, in the invisible, waiting for you to step forward as its rightful owner. First, you must understand why so many lose their good before it even reaches them, because they have not marked it in the unseen. Then you must speak its name in the spirit, for naming is the act of claiming in the higher courts. After that you take possession before any proof appears, standing in invisible ownership, as though you had already signed for the delivery. You guard that claim like a precious seed, refusing to let doubt, fear, or the careless words of others uproot it. And when it arrives, for it surely will, you receive it without hesitation, without guilt, and without apology, folding it into your life as the natural fruit of your faith. This is not theory, this is the law by which the universe moves. You can walk past this truth and continue hoping, or you can step into it and live in a world where every good thing is yours before you see it. Florence would tell her students, the invisible always comes before the visible. Treat it as real, and it will become so. So now I ask you, what will you name today? What will you claim in the presence of heaven and earth? Do not wait for perfect timing. The timing is now. Do not wait for worthiness. Worthiness was granted when you were born. Do not wait for signs. The sign is this very message reaching your ears. Speak it, mark it, claim it, guard it, receive it, and watch as the unseen becomes your daily reality. If this truth has awakened something in you, do not keep it silent. Share it, speak it over your life, and pass it to those who are still wandering without their blessing. And if your spirit knows that this is the law you were meant to walk in, then take this moment to name your good out loud and claim it as yours before this day ends. Your blessing is not far. It is simply waiting for you to call it home.